just a moment. But first, we have someone here to speak with you from SGA. Hello, everyone. I'm the College of Business Senator for the Student Government Association, so I basically serve as a liaison between you as a student to the Student Government Association. And so I just wanted to inform you about our first town hall meeting later today at 2:30 p.m. in the Landis Auditorium, so about an hour after the end of this passport event. We would like to encourage you to come out and participate and get actively involved in the Student Government Association. If you ever have any questions about things that we're wanting to change about the college business or different things that we're wanting to fix on campus, you can always email me at lucobcenter@gmail.com. So I hope to see you there. Thanks. So today we're here for the College of Business Alumni Panel. We've got 3 panelists here today. And so I'm going to have each panelist introduce themselves. And then you guys, we're going to open the floor up to you to ask any questions that you have related to their degree, their background, what they currently do. If you need any help, we have those little handouts that you can reference as well. Okay, we're going to start with you.
Okay. My name is April Key, and I am the Human Resources Manager for APAC Texas, which is a road construction and asphalt sales company.
My name is Joel Foxworth. I'm the market president for Beaumont and Baytown for Third Coast Bank. We're a kind of a niche bank where we specialize in commercial lending. Originally from Baytown, Texas, moved to this area, played tennis for Lamar. I got my bachelor's degree here. I got my MBA from here. So, big LU fan. Go Big Red.
My name is Philip Dillon. I work at Patriot Security. I'm the Director of Marketing and Service for our alarm division. We do residential and commercial alarm systems, camera systems, fire extinguishers, stuff like that. I've gotten all my degrees from here at Lamar, they're my alma mater. And I got an MBA, I got a degree in marketing, a degree in economics and finance.
So at this time, does anyone have a question that they want to ask? Please raise your hand. Okay, so I'm going to ask the first question. So I'm going to ask this question to each of you. How did you get into the field that you're currently in?
I actually started out as a political science major, and about midway through my time at Lamar, I was working for Cons Appliances during my school years. And the president of Cons had really encouraged me to consider human resources. And at the time, it was when things were shifting from personnel to what we know of HR to be today. And so it was a relatively new field where HR is more of a strategic partner in an organization versus a paper pusher. And so I looked into it and thought, I'm going to be staying here in Southeast Texas, and that makes more sense than a degree in political science here. So I switched my major, and that's how I came to be in HR.
So I came to Beaumont to play tennis for Lamar. I had a brother that had graduated from Lamar, and he had a computer science degree, so you do what your big brother does. I had my first class in computer science, and I said, I don't like this. I'd worked as a teller in a bank before. I'm going to change my degree to finance, and I'm going to work with people. I'm not a behind-the-scenes computer guy, so I changed my degree to finance. I was fortunate. I had a sister-in-law that worked in banking, and she set up kind of just like a mentorship, a lot like this, but just one-on-one, where someone could explain to me the career path for banking. If you're going to go into banking, you want to do commercial lending, and here's the first career or first job you do, and where you go from there. And so that was where I came over and started my business degree here.
Mine's probably going to be different from a lot of people. About 25 some odd years ago, my mom and my dad got the great idea that they should do one of the most dangerous things you can do with your money: start your own business. And here we are all these years later, and Patriot's a very successful company. But for me, I grew up doing everything from doing installs in people's homes to being a guard to to doing door-to-door sales, to doing telemarketing, to doing filing, to answering phones, to working in the HR department, filing all that wonderful paper. So I was kind of born into business, and like a lot of people who start working at the ripe old age of 6 years old, I was pretty tired of it by the time I got to my working age, and I didn't think that I wanted to go into getting a business degree, and I wanted to do something else, work in some other industry, maybe still get a business degree, who knows. But I really fell in love with doing sales, and fell in love specifically with doing door-to-door and telemarketing sales. So I decided to commit to school. I apparently did I felt like I did really good at school. So I just kept on going and going and going, and got my MBA and everything else. And that's what made it easy for my parents, besides the fact that I'm their son, to put me in the position that I'm in. I had a passion for it, and I had the degrees to back it up.
All right. Oh.
I don't know, we encourage feedback. I don't know if y'all are just looking at it like, why are they here?
I have a question for you guys. Is your work just an 8-hour job, or is it something that continues afterward?
I was doing sexual harassment prep training, like
easy now.
Your
wife is right there.
My wife can comment to this. It was the other night. I was up till 10 o'clock on our porch putting together a sexual harassment training course. And work is, if you're passionate about your job, if you're committed to your job, and it doesn't matter what level of strategic management you're in, it's never 8 to 5. It's weekends, it's extra hours, it's early hours, because you have to invest in your job. And more importantly, you have to invest in the people who work underneath you and work around you. And that just takes time and effort.
Yeah, for me, absolutely not. A lot of my job is interaction with business owners, and business owners can't always talk to you during the 8 to 5. Sometimes, they need to get hold of you at night, or they want to go fishing with you, or whatever that interaction is early in the morning. I got an email at 3:24 this morning. It was an urgent matter. It can wait, but it absolutely is not an 8 to 5. The technology in the world has changed your accessibility and how much people demand your time.
I'll answer that by telling you what my day looked like yesterday. I had a 6 a.m. safety meeting, and I took a 2-hour hiatus to go to my daughter's basketball game, and then I worked from my laptop till about 10:30 last night. And that's not an everyday in HR, but there are definitely a lot of days like that. I'll never forget when I was a senior and we had a guest speaker come and talk to our class about a career in human resources, and this was a woman who worked for a local refinery, and I won't say which refinery or who it was, but she said, and she clearly did not enjoy her job, but she said, if you're not willing to work anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week, then HR is not for you. And I would say that that's probably accurate, depending on the company that you work for and in the industry that you work for. But I'll certainly say that there are HR jobs out there that can be 40 hours a week if that is what you want it to be. But if you're doing that, you're only going to go so far in your career.
She got it.
For HLP, do you feel like it puts a strain on you and your family? That you have to be very involved and very intense with it, with HR and your role?
Yeah, and
Does it take too much time away?
yeah, the thing about HR is that it does change every day. You don't know, and I guess that's kind of typical of really anything in business. You don't know what fire you're going to put out that day. But I previously worked in healthcare for 12 years, and the reason that I switched jobs about 6 months ago is because I did want more family time. So again, it just depends on the industry. Healthcare, as you all know, has seen a lot of changes over the last 6 or 7 years, and it's just a really, really tough industry to work in on all fronts. So I think if I was someone whose children were grown and I could devote 100% of my time to healthcare, I totally would have done that. but it wasn't right for me at this time in my life. So, yeah.
Any other questions? You first.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who's starting out?
In terms of,
Everybody. Instead of like in your line of position. So if somebody was to look into HR, what advice would you give them?
I would say get an internship. And I had one. I interned at Mahaffey Weber when I was at Lamar. And it's going to give you a really good look at what the administration, because definitely there is a big chunk of HR that is very administrative. I mean, you're filing papers and you are making sure that every employee is 100% complete on something that is required. So there's a lot of paperwork, and that's going to give you good exposure to that. If you can get an internship where you also have the opportunity to job shadow someone, and you can job shadow the manager or director, that's great also, because then you're exposed to some of the higher level things like employee relations or strategic planning.
I'd say find something you're passionate about. You know, there's too many people that hate their job, and you know, that's your career, that's your life. You're going to spend probably as much time with those people as you do with your family, and it's going to be a big part of your life. So find something that you're passionate about and try to work in that field. That way, whenever you go to work, it's something you enjoy. It's something that you thrive at. You'll do better at it. You'll put more energy into it. And you'll have a better quality of life all the way around. If you're miserable at work, it's going to carry over into your personal life, and you'll have the family challenges. And you know, if you love your job and you're working 60 hours a week, it's not a bad thing. It's something you enjoy. It's something you thrive at. But if you don't, you know, it's tough. It really is. So find something you're passionate about, and then seek out people that are in that industry. Talk to them. If you can shadow them, if you can do any of that, I mean, you're 10 steps ahead of somebody else that's just trying to figure out their life.
absolutely great advice that Joel just gave. The other thing I would add to that, because both great answers, you need to think about who you want to work for, what size of company you want to work for, what industry you want to work for. Just look at the people here at this table. APAC is massive. You know, Third Coast Bank is a good medium-sized company. Patriot Security only has 3 or 4 offices. We're relatively very small. So depending on what type of company and size of company you're going to go into, the requirements that company's going to want are very different things. You come work for me, you have to wear a ton of different hats. You know, you have to prove to me that A, you can do whatever we're actually hiring you for, plus you have to have a piece of sales in there, you have to have a piece of HR in there. You know, you have to have all these different things, because as a small company, we have to do more with less. You know, so you need to think about where do you want to go, what do you want to do, and what is that company looking for? You know, and really plan out what you're planning on bringing to said company.
Thank you. Great answers.
How much would you say that your education actually prepared you for what you're doing compared to just allowing you to step into the role that you're in, say, like just having the door open up for you?
I'll tell you, for me, and this is the honest answer,
Please, honestly.
my bachelor's degree, I didn't apply myself. I didn't push myself to learn. And so that opened the door, because, you know, today's world, to get, you know, most decent paying jobs, you need a degree. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But with my MBA, I actually applied myself. I enjoyed it. It was relative to what I was doing, and so it helped me immensely. I mean, it really, I tell people all the time, it changed my life. There was a difference, and Philip probably can tell you this as well. The bachelor's degree was more theory.
Yeah.
The MBA was more application,
Yeah.
and so that helped as well.
What do you think? That's what the MBA did for you. You know, then your question kind of segues back to what I'm sorry I don't know your name, but what I told her a second ago. You also got to think about what company you're going for, what job you're applying for.
Yeah.
You know, how I got my spot is I went out and sold 300 systems in a year. You know, I proved I was a sales guy, basically. But it would be a completely different animal if you're talking about trying to get into April's job. You know, so you got to think about where you want to go and how applicable is your degree going to be to that job. Because if you go get a Gen Biz degree with a concentration in garbage, you know, maybe not. You know, but if you're looking at going to something hyper specific like being a CPA, your degree is probably going to have a lot of value.
I'll say that I lean on what I learned here at Lamar a lot. And I didn't feel that way when I first graduated. There was about 2 years where I thought, I'm not using any of the stuff that I learned. But eventually, you go back to what you were trying. And I find myself, I still will say, I learned that at Lamar, you know, and just in different things. And I really do, it's been very beneficial.
I have specific memories of sitting where that guy in the yellow shirt sitting right there. And I tell a story about when I was sitting right there and Dr. Robert Swerdlett, who's one of the people on the Business Hall of Fame behind us, was teaching marketing and some of the things I learned. And I teach that all the time. Yeah, that's it. Target market. That's it.
You had a question up here?
Yes. Kind of scary question. So after you got your credentials, whether it be your bachelor's or your master's, how long did it take y'all to get like your first real big girl, big boy job? Because there's usually like a big old gap with most of us after we graduate because we're so fresh off the books, and sometimes companies are like, we don't want somebody brand new, we want somebody seasoned or somebody who has like a certain amount of experience. And it's like, well, we need to get that experience. We need to establish ourselves. So, and like, all honesty, how long did it take you to get that position?
I don't know that my case is typical, and I don't know that it would be the same as it would today, because I graduated in 2002. But I started, I got my first job as an HR assistant at Health South, and was HR assistant for a year, and then my boss was let go, and I was promoted to her position. And I had only had a year of HR experience. And then about a year after that was when I got the HR manager job at a hospital and was there for 10 years. So I don't know that that's typical, but I will say that, you know, the people that have come through the HR department in my last job, it was very rapidly. Well, we always have someone in that HR assistant position for about a year, and then they're promoted to coordinator, and then they're promoted to generalists, and it's been happening fairly quickly to the right people that are demonstrating that they have a really good work ethic and are sharp, and it really comes down to how hard you want to work. It really does. It's hard to get in the door. That's why I think internships are very important, and networking is so incredibly important. If you can get involved in whatever professional association for what your degree is in, that really does help.
I must be done school with you. I got my bachelor's in 01, my MBA in 03. I got a finance degree, and then my MBA. The tech bubble was happening then, and what had happened was the tech stocks had all ballooned up, and prices were high, and then just the bottom fell out. Well, my degree was in finance, and a lot of the job opportunities were in the stock market, financial advisor. I'd wanted to go in banking, but the position I wanted is very specific to the line to become a commercial lender, to go up that chain is you start as a credit analyst. Well, most of the banks have their credit analysts centralized in Houston or Birmingham or Charlotte or San Francisco. I was willing to go anywhere. Get me out of Beaumont, stay here. I'll be either one. I'm good. I interviewed 21 times before I got my first big boy job. So yeah, it took a while. I'd say that was probably about a 4 to 5 month period after I graduated that went home and lived with mom and dad, and had to get that door open for me. And the interesting thing for me was I had 2 job offers the same day. One of them was about 4 times the pay. It was in Austin. I wanted to get my MBA from UT. I've been a UT fan all my life. And the other was a banking job here in Beaumont that was a fraction of the pay and was not a credit analyst position. It was on the retail side of banking that, what you interact with most of the time, the tellers, the branch managers, who's on that side of the bank. And I chose the banking job because I looked at the future. When I interviewed with the company in Austin, it was company that made weapons defense, and this was right before 9/11, so it's crazy. But the shortest tenure anybody had been there was 10 years. Whenever I would interview, had 14 interviews with that group. I had to get top secret clearance. It was crazy. But most of the people have been there 30 years, 20 years. Well, I knew I was ambitious, and I didn't want to wait 10 years to get promoted. And so I actually took a lesser paying job looking at my future, and I'm glad I did.
To kind of echo Joel's story, again, my situation is very different. But we had a string of about half a dozen sales managers who just wouldn't stick. And they got to the point to where they were desperate to find a sales manager to come in and train salespeople. And I've been doing sales for half a decade or longer at that point, on the books, off the books. I've been doing it since I was able to sound moderately like an adult. So what got me to being interim sales manager, that was my first big boy job, and it was still minimum wage plus commission. You think your parents would pay you more, right? No. That was my big step up. So how I got that, was basically people just kept falling by the wayside, and I was available, and I made myself available. And so if they told me do this, I did this. It didn't matter that I was the owner's kid. It matters that I was willing to step up to the plate.
Any other questions?
What would you say you love most about your job?
For me, it's two things. It's the freedom I have. I can go and come because I'm interacting with the business community. Part of my job is civic. I need to be out in the community and have people learn about Third Coast Bank because we're a little independent bank. And unless you drive down Dallin over by Calder, you don't know that we're there or haven't heard of us. So I love being able to go and come and meet with people. And the second part that's equally as great is I love business. I love seeing how people make money and how people lose money and what they do and being able to help them with that. So that's fit me perfectly.
I like that HR is service-oriented in nature, and along with what you said, I really like business. I like the strategic planning part of HR and knowing that based on the different programs or things that you put in place, that you can have an impact on the bottom line of the company. And to me, that's very challenging, but I like that challenge.
I love sales. Whenever, for most of you who are getting degrees, you probably think sales job is the last job in the world you want to get because, hey, you went to college, you didn't go to college to get a sales job. But the cold reality of it is, some of the most highest paid positions in the world are people who understand the hardest thing and the easiest thing to do as a human being. It's talk to another human being. You'd be surprised how many people who are professionals can't do that successfully. It's crazy. But if you really want to cater some value to yourself, learn how to speak to people. Learn how to carry on a conversation. Something so simple can be so valuable to you. Learn how to enjoy public speaking. So for me, I've loved sales all my life. It was a no-brainer for me. I was going to keep doing sales.
Speed networking on Thursday will help with that. Yes, sir.
You can go.
What are the future prospects in each of your fields, and how do we interpret those as we go to the workplace?
Future prospects, and what was the second part?
And how do we interpret those as we move into the workplace and graduate?
I think, obviously, HR is a relatively young field in the business world, and we've been able to make strides and get to the seat at the table, but I still feel like there's a long way to go. However, I think that for the most part, CEOs have bought in and are allowing seats at the table for human resources. So the way I look at it is no company can exist without employees, and our field developed organically in that, we're very much a needed part of an organization. And And I don't see us reverting back. I think that we're only going to go forward.
World banking's changing. You know, I question for y'all: how many of you deposit checks on your smartphone? So maybe half of the audience already. Technology's changing. We started my bank in 2008. A startup bank with 17 million in capital. We're over 500 million now. But our model is not to have a branch on every corner like banking used to be. It used to be every good corner, and there's either going to be a bank or a convenience store there. Technology's changed that. But for what I do with business owners, I think there's always going to be a role where someone's needed to give advice and to help them to be able to structure their debt in such a way that they can grow and manage their working capital so they can buy assets, so that they can do the things that they need to do. I think there'll always be that component. There's certainly a change, and there's micro banks popping up where you can get small loans for, Cons is basically a micro bank. Where you go in and you finance a microwave, something that small. You have to adjust. Things change, and they change quick. So whatever you get out doing, don't think 10 years from now that it's going to be the same thing. But you're going to have to be flexible.
Social media, harnessing social media to increase sales opportunities. The telemarketing, door knocking, all these things they'll die one day. So using what people are using to get to them quicker and developing more interaction, the best thing for us is going to be social media. So it's going to be seeing how sales companies, whether they're large or they're small, are using their resource to harness buyers that aren't being touched or future buyers.
Aside from having like a college education, is there one other like specific activity that each one of you would say in your particular field that you've benefited from? Maybe it's just picking up a book and reading it from time to time, focusing on a specific activity, one area that you feel has really benefited you in your career through just doing extracurricular activities.
Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, really?
Read it again,
Yeah.
keep reading it, live it, practice it.
Yeah, I'm an avid reader, so
Beautiful.
if y'all have any book selections, please.
The book I'm reading right now is called Extreme Ownership. And if you don't know it, it's by a couple of Navy SEALs, one of which is Leif Babin, whose father is a congressman in the Brooklyn area, I believe. Ryan Babin. And
What was the name? Extreme
it's
Ownership?
called Extreme Ownership. And our leadership team right now at my business is we're doing like a book club where we're assigning chapters every week and then coming back and talking about how we can drive those principles in our company. And I do recommend it. In a nutshell, it just says find out what your mission is and hold people accountable to accomplishing their part of the mission. I think a lot of times you'll see companies that will tend to stagnate, or you have someone who might be really good at one thing, but then poor at something else, and it's all about accountability. And without that, your company is not going to move forward. The other thing I would say in HR is get involved in SHRM. Go to the SHRM convention if you can, or go to SHRM, Society for HR Management, and go to HR Southwest. It's important. You need to stay involved in what's trending and what's rolling out in new legislation.
I would say one of the most beneficial things that I've learned to do is to hang around with successful people. So I got into banking and I saw different people making money. I saw different things and thought, "Heck, some of these guys aren't any smarter than me, and they don't work any harder than me. Why don't I do that?"
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did was I built an RV park in Port Arthur, 136 units. But I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I didn't have construction background. I didn't have engineering background. So actually I got two guys to partner with me. That one was a civil contractor that had been one for 35 years. president of the engineering firm. I associated myself with people that were at a higher caliber than I was, and they pulled me up. You know, if you want to be successful, you know, there's the old saying, you know, you're going to fly with the eagles and scratch with the chickens, you know. Sometimes you need to think about if you're running around kooky, or if you're hanging out with the guy that's, you know, owns a business and doing well for himself. You know,
Super great advice.
I have a question over here.
I have a question for Joel. I'm a teller now in my degrees in finance too. And the company I work for is a smaller credit union, and they're wanting to pull me to the mortgage department.
Mhm.
But I think I really enjoy being in like investing and stuff like that. So do you have any advice on how to make the decision of where you really want to be?
Follow your passion. Be where you want to be. You know, sometimes don't just jump because that's your passion. Sometimes it's worth talking to someone that's in that position. You know, I remember years ago I was working for Wells Fargo, and I was helping to manage the Belmont team. And we had a young guy that he was a loan officer. He had not he didn't have a lot of experience in the financial crisis. He had 08, 09, and I knew he wasn't going to make it because he didn't have the credit skills to be able to navigate through it. And we had a position come open in government banking where you go out and you try and solicit deposits for like Lamar, City of Beaumont. Well, he had a great personality. He was great talking to people. I told him, hey, you need to take this job. You need to get out of Lincoln. He didn't want to. He didn't. I said, just think about it. Think about it. Because he talked to me, he went on. He won most of the big accounts in this area. Got an enormous pay raise, and he'll tell me, man, I didn't want to do it, but I talked to you, and it really helped. So I'm big about following your passion, but sometimes somebody that's already done something may be able to help you realize, hey, I could really fit in there and do well with that.
To key on what Joel just said, he mentioned it twice. He knows Joel mentioned how this guy knew how to talk to people, knew how to connect with people. What did Joel do to this gentleman? He knew how to talk to people, he knew how to connect with people. I can't impress upon you enough how many people I see every day who can't string a sentence together. You really want to be valued, learn how to communicate effectively. One of the best resources for that is How to Win, not How Much Friends Influence People. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The Covey stuff, it goes over, breaks it down really smoothly for you on how to connect with somebody on an individual level or how to connect with a group. So learn how to talk to people. Yeah.
Have you been able to change the employees that were once in the positions that you were in? Was there something you said, you know, when I make it to the top, I'm going to do this with people at those like lower levels?
For the people in HR that have worked with
Like
me.
say, for instance, for you, the HR assistant, when you were HR
Yeah.
assistant, you say, well, I'm going to change this one thing to make it better for
Oh,
you.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I like to take people under my wing, and that's just how I manage. I like to have, I like to work really closely with my team, and I've been fortunate to have some really good people work for me. And this is my philosophy: is I like to manage by the numbers. So I want us to have a good communication, but really all I'm concerned about is, are we doing what we said we're going to do, and are we doing it by a particular deadline? And I don't care. I'm not going to tell you exactly how you should be doing something, because you probably have a better way, or you know, I like to give internships. I like to teach. Maybe it's because my mom was a teacher, but yeah.
Look for uncommon talent. You have a HEB hat on up there. Our director of operations did 8 years as an assistant deli manager at HEB. You know, you wouldn't think she'd be awesome at operations and running technicians and managing salespeople and putting up with all the garbage that comes from that. But she had all those skills. She just needed someone to notice it. And you have to, if you ever get to the point where you're leading a team or you're doing hiring, you know, don't just say, well, this person has a good resume or this person, whatever. Look for talent in odd places. Look for people who are hungry, and they'll be superstars for you.
I'd say 1,000,000% yes. A lot of people when they get to where I've been fortunate to get to, that they they get real conservative on approving loans. They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to take a chance on people that, hey, I'm here, I'm good, doesn't affect me whether I say yes or no. So I'm a fighter by nature. I want to fight for my customers. I want to fight to win business. I want to fight to do the right things for my company, for it to grow, and for it to. And there's a lot of people that whenever you get to a certain level, they get comfortable. And hey, all this growth, all this change, there's so much risk, there's so much we don't know. Let's stay complacent. And whenever you achieve in life, there's a temptation to say we have arrived. And I think that's a dangerous place to be. Whenever you say I've arrived, keep pushing yourself, keep driving. Good question.
Any other questions?
What you got?
Earlier you had answered what you liked most about your jobs, but what do you like most about jobs?
What do you hate?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that's frustrating for me is because, we deal with a lot of small business owners, homeowners, along with larger clients, but it's all hyper-personal, very customer service driven because we live and die by word of mouth. So whenever we're bringing on a young salesperson and we're investing in them, if you don't reinvest, it's crippling for us as members of management. So probably the least thing I enjoy about my job is trying to motivate people to go out there and develop a lifestyle for themselves, and they don't have any internal effort, any internal drive. And it doesn't matter if you're a non-degreed or degreed individual. I had to let a guy go literally 2 days ago. He had a degree from, what's the Baptist College? Yeah. In international business or something like that. Great guy, good-looking guy, good degree, good college, good everything. But he had no personal desire. So looking at people and seeing that they're not going to do anything with themselves because they have no internal drive, that's probably the least favorite thing I have to do. And we do weekly, orientations and weekly recruiting. So I have people coming and going every week. It sucks to see somebody who they're cannon fodder.
To be honest, being told no. I don't like to be told no, whether it's internal or external. If I'm out trying to get business and someone says no, I'm happy where I'm at, or if I try and get a loan approved and my loan committee says we're not going to do that, that's what I hate least about my job, being told no. Probably in life, but I tell my children that, but hey.
I think if you're in HR, there will be a time when you feel like things are just stuck, and our job is to take complaints, and we're either taking them from employees or we are being the person that the management team is leaning on. So what I do is I make sure that everyone is working together for mutual benefit, and if I can't get both sides to see eye to eye or find common ground, and there's going to be frustration, and I don't like those times.
Let me ask y'all a question. How many of you are in the job market? Okay, so piece of advice. When you go to interview, clean yourself up. I'm serious about this, because I have people that'll come in and interview with me, and having a beard or whatever's fine, but they're not shaved well. They look, they're not well put together. Shine your shoes. Take care of yourself. Present yourself well. Think about your social media. I 100% of the time will go out and try to find whoever I'm interviewing on social media and see if they're doing a kickstand on their profile picture. They're doing something stupid, because if they are, I'm not going to hire that person.
Then you have to go see April or somebody.
Yeah, right. So think about how you represent yourself, whether you have a LinkedIn page or whatever it is, and think about your resume. Think about how you dress, how you talk. you're looking them in the eye when you talk to them, or you looking down, or you paying attention. I literally had a guy fall asleep on me in an interview. How do you fall asleep to lunch? He was the one talking, and he fell asleep. Yeah, he didn't get hired.
I've had someone show up with no shoes.
Yeah. You know, another thing to echo onto that, your first day of work too. You know, impressions are everything. You know, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but hey, everybody does. So if you show up, I had a guy show up his first day of work, he shows up wearing shorts and like these weird combat boot things. What? You know, and so the guy got sent home, no job. Sorry, try again some other time, some other place. You know, it's not just about the interview, but it's also about your first day. You're going to be continually graded on how you look, how you act.
I want to say, for those entering the job market, you know that you have so much to contribute. You know that you just finished, you've got a great degree. There's a lot of things you want to do. Just be patient, because if you start a new job and expect to come in and make a bang or a splash, it's not going to happen, or you won't last very long. You have to go through a period where you're very willing to do whatever it is that is asked of you, even if you don't like it or you disagree with the way it may be done. There will be a time when you get to have your voice and show everybody what you can do, but you have to earn your way there.
You do.
Yeah, you do.
That's probably some of the best advice you guys are going to get today. All of you are going to be told here at Lamar, myself included, that you're going to change the world. Don't believe that. It'll happen maybe one day, but you need to go in ready to work, ready to prove yourself. You need to have your head down and be willing to buckle down. Best advice here today April just gave you.
I think there's a balance there where you've got to stay hungry. You've got to have that fire, have that desire, but realize that, you know what, you build line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. It just takes it. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your career won't be built in one day. It can be ruined in one day.
Yeah.
Do we have any last questions for our panelists? Well, thank you guys so much for coming out.